Did you know that millions of Australians could lose their citizenship by 2026? Yes, you heard that right. A series of new laws are quietly being passed, and many people don't even realize how drastically this could affect them. Imagine waking up one day and discovering that the country you thought was yours, the country you've called home for years or even your whole life, could strip you of your citizenship. Some of these laws target dual citizens, long-term residents, and even children born overseas. Others are triggered by things you might never expect, like long absences from Australia, unpaid taxes, or even minor legal mistakes. Experts warn that if you don't act now, you could be at risk. In this video, we're breaking down 10 shocking laws that could change your life forever and what you need to do to protect yourself.
One of the most shocking ways Australians could lose their citizenship under the new 2026 laws is through serious criminal convictions. This isn't just about small offenses or traffic fines. This targets major crimes, including terrorism, violent offenses, or crimes that threaten national security. Imagine thinking you're a fully recognized citizen, only to find that a past mistake, or even involvement in criminal networks you weren't fully aware of, could put your citizenship in jeopardy. These laws are designed to protect the nation, but they also come with a level of strictness that has caught many people by surprise. Experts warn that dual citizens are particularly at risk, as authorities may more readily review their cases compared to Australian-only citizens. In recent years, cases in Australia and overseas show that citizenship can be revoked even after decades of residency if serious crimes are involved. So, what does this mean for you? First, it's essential to understand exactly what counts as a serious criminal conviction. Even associations with certain groups or minor complicity in criminal activity could be scrutinized. Second, if you have any legal concerns, now is the time to seek professional legal advice. Document everything carefully, stay informed about new regulations, and make sure your records are clean. The key takeaway? The law is stricter than ever, and ignorance won't protect anyone. Protecting your citizenship isn't just about following the rules, it's about actively knowing them. Another alarming change that could affect millions of Australians is the new extended residency requirement. Under this law, citizens or those seeking to maintain citizenship may be required to prove they have spent more time living in Australia than ever before. This isn't just about ticking boxes. Failing to meet the exact residency criteria could put your citizenship at risk. Previously, many Australians could maintain their citizenship even after living overseas for years, but the 2026 laws are expected to tighten these rules, particularly for dual citizens and long-term residents who travel frequently for work, family, or study. Authorities are now looking more closely at how much time you actually spend in Australia, not just whether you call it home. The consequences? Even someone who has lived abroad for only a few months a year could face scrutiny, and those with extended absences might need to provide evidence of strong ties to the country. This could include proof of employment, property ownership, or tax compliance. Without these records, your citizenship could be reviewed and potentially revoked. So, what can you do to protect yourself? Start by tracking your days in and out of Australia meticulously. Keep all travel and work records organized, and maintain connections like bank accounts, property, and voting registration. Consulting a legal professional can also help clarify your status and ensure you don't accidentally fall afoul of the new rules. In short, this law sends a clear warning. Australia expects its citizens to stay connected, and failure to meet residency requirements could have life-changing consequences. We worked hard to bring you this critical information, so drop a comment below and let us know how this news affects you or your family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's just one click to stay informed and stay protected.
One of the most serious and controversial ways citizenship could be revoked under the 2026 laws involves national security. The government now has the power to strip citizenship from anyone deemed a threat to Australia's safety, particularly those involved in terrorism, espionage, or organized criminal networks. And this isn't just theoretical. Cases in Australia and overseas show that authorities are taking this power very seriously. What makes this law especially alarming is how broad its definitions are. Even indirect involvement with extremist groups, online support for banned organizations, or attending certain events overseas could trigger an investigation. Dual citizens are once again at higher risk, as authorities can argue that their ties to another country make them more vulnerable to engaging in activities against Australia. The consequences are severe. Losing citizenship for national security reasons doesn't just affect your right to live in Australia. It can impact your family, your career, and even your ability to travel. In some cases, individuals have faced deportation or indefinite detention after losing citizenship. So, how can you protect yourself? The first step is awareness. Stay informed about what counts as a threat under the law and avoid any associations or actions that could be interpreted as compromising national security. Keep careful records of your activities, travel, and affiliations, and consult legal experts immediately if you think you might be at risk. This law serves as a stark reminder. Citizenship is not just a birthright, it's a responsibility. Failing to understand or comply with national security rules could change your life overnight, making vigilance and legal guidance essential for every Australian. Another shocking way Australians could lose their citizenship under the 2026 laws is through false or misleading information during the application process. This isn't limited to intentional lies. Even small mistakes, omissions, or misunderstandings could put your citizenship at risk. Imagine thinking everything was in order, only to be flagged years later because of an unnoticed error on your application. These laws are designed to protect the integrity of citizenship, but they are stricter than ever before. Authorities now have the power to review applications long after approval and revoke citizenship if they discover any discrepancies. And it's not just first-time applicants who are affected. Naturalized citizens could also be investigated if old documents are found to contain inconsistencies. The consequences can be devastating. Losing citizenship due to false information can mean losing your right to live, work, or vote in Australia, and in some cases, facing deportation. Legal experts warn that even minor mistakes, like misstating your travel history or family details, could trigger investigations. So, what can you do to protect yourself? First, review your application documents carefully. Check every date, address, and detail for accuracy. If you're unsure about anything, seek professional legal advice before it becomes a problem. Keep records and evidence of all information submitted, because documentation could be your strongest defense. The takeaway is clear. Honesty and accuracy are critical. In 2026, citizenship isn't guaranteed just by meeting the basic criteria. It's about demonstrating that you fully comply with the law and your obligations. One small mistake could have life-changing consequences. One of the most controversial laws coming in 2026 targets dual citizens, those who hold Australian citizenship along with another nationality. Under the new rules, certain actions abroad could put your Australian citizenship at risk, even if you've never broken the law in Australia itself. The government is particularly focused on dual citizens involved in political, military, or government activities overseas. For example, joining foreign armed forces, working for a foreign government, or engaging in activities that conflict with Australia's national interests could now be grounds for citizenship revocation. What makes this law so alarming is how broadly it's written. Authorities can interpret certain actions as threats to Australia's security or reputation, even if your intentions were completely innocent. Dual citizens aren't the only ones at risk. Family ties, international business dealings, or even long-term stays in certain countries could be scrutinized under this law. In extreme cases, individuals could lose the right to return to Australia without warning. So how can you protect yourself? First, stay informed about what activities are restricted for dual citizens. Avoid any foreign employment, political involvement, or military service that could conflict with Australian laws. Second, document your international activities carefully, including travel, work, and communications. Finally, seek legal guidance if you're uncertain about your status. Ignorance could cost you your citizenship. The takeaway is clear. Holding dual citizenship comes with new responsibilities. In 2026, it's not enough to simply be an Australian citizen. You must actively ensure that your overseas actions do not put your legal status at risk. Even small missteps abroad could have life-changing consequences. Another shocking change in the 2026 laws could affect families. Children born overseas to Australian citizens may face stricter rules for citizenship. Until now, many parents assumed that being an Australian citizen automatically granted citizenship to their children, no matter where they were born. But the new laws are changing the game, and the consequences could be serious. Under these changes, children born outside Australia may no longer automatically receive citizenship. Instead, parents might need specific requirements, such as proving strong ties to Australia, demonstrating residency, or completing official applications within strict deadlines. Failure to do so could leave a child without legal Australian status, even if their parents have been citizens for decades. The impact isn't just legal, it's deeply personal. Losing citizenship can affect access to healthcare, education, and even the ability to live or work in Australia. Families who assumed their children were automatically protected could face a legal nightmare if they're caught unawares. So what can parents do? First, check the citizenship status of any child born abroad. Ensure that applications are submitted accurately and on time. Keep detailed records of your family's ties to Australia, including travel history, property ownership, and evidence of residence. Consulting an immigration lawyer can also help safeguard your child's rights before it's too late. The takeaway is clear. In 2026, citizenship for children born overseas is no longer guaranteed. Parents must be proactive and informed to ensure that their children don't face a future of legal uncertainty. One small oversight could have lifelong consequences.
Another surprising way Australians could lose their citizenship under the 2026 laws is through tax and financial non-compliance. Yes, even failing to meet your financial obligations could put your legal status at risk. The government is tightening its rules, and authorities now have the power to review citizenship for anyone who has not properly followed Australian tax laws, both at home and abroad. This law is particularly concerning for dual citizens, frequent travelers, and business owners with overseas income. Even small oversights, such as missed tax filings or unreported foreign assets, could be interpreted as failing to comply with your civic duties. In some cases, authorities may argue that non-compliance shows a lack of commitment to Australia, which could trigger citizenship revocation. The consequences are severe. Losing citizenship due to financial non-compliance could affect your ability to live, work, or access services in Australia, and it may also create legal complications internationally. Imagine discovering that unpaid taxes or minor errors in your finances could jeopardize the country you call home. So how can you protect yourself? First, ensure all taxes are filed accurately and on time, both in Australia and overseas. Keep detailed records of income, assets, and financial transactions. If you're unsure about your obligations, seek advice from a tax professional who understands the implications for citizenship. Staying transparent and organized is your strongest defense. The takeaway is clear. Financial responsibility is now directly linked to citizenship. Ignorance or negligence can no longer be overlooked. In 2026, following the law isn't just about avoiding penalties, it's about protecting your very right to remain an Australian citizen.
One of the most overlooked threats to citizenship in 2026 involves long-term absences from Australia. You might think that traveling, working, or studying overseas won't affect your status, but the new laws suggest otherwise. Authorities are now closely monitoring how long citizens spend outside the country, and extended absences could trigger a review of your citizenship. This law particularly affects dual citizens, expatriates, and Australians working abroad. Even people who have lived outside the country for years while maintaining strong ties could face scrutiny. The government may ask for proof that your life and commitments remain connected to Australia. Failure to provide adequate evidence could risk revocation, even if you've paid taxes, voted, or otherwise followed the rules. The consequences are serious. Losing citizenship due to long-term absence could mean losing the right to live, work, or access essential services in Australia. And it may also create legal complications internationally. Imagine discovering that unpaid taxes or minor errors in your finances could jeopardize the country you call home. So how can you protect yourself? First, ensure all taxes are filed accurately and on time, both in Australia and overseas. Keep detailed records of income, assets, and financial transactions. If you're unsure about your obligations, seek advice from a tax professional who understands the implications for citizenship. Staying transparent and organized is your strongest defense. The takeaway is clear. Financial responsibility is now directly linked to citizenship. Ignorance or negligence can no longer be overlooked. In 2026, following the law isn't just about avoiding penalties, it's about protecting your very right to remain an Australian citizen.
One of the most shocking and dramatic ways Australians could lose their citizenship under the 2026 laws involves participating in foreign conflicts. This isn't limited to officially joining a foreign army. It also covers involvement with militias, extremist groups, or paramilitary organizations abroad. Even traveling overseas with the intention of fighting or supporting armed groups could put your citizenship at serious risk. The government has made it clear that any actions threatening Australia's security or international reputation will not be tolerated. Dual citizens, in particular, are under close scrutiny as authorities argue that ties to another country may increase the likelihood of involvement in conflicts outside Australia. The law also applies retroactively in some cases, meaning that past actions overseas could be investigated, putting your citizenship in jeopardy even years after returning home. The consequences are severe. Losing citizenship for participating in foreign conflicts can result in deportation, indefinite detention, and loss of all associated rights. Families may be affected too, and returning to Australia could become nearly impossible. Imagine serving your country abroad or traveling overseas for work or volunteering, only to find your citizenship revoked because your actions were interpreted as conflicting with Australian law. So, how can you protect yourself? First, avoid involvement in any overseas conflict or military activity that could be deemed unlawful or connected to extremist groups. Keep detailed records of your international travel and activities, and seek legal advice if you're unsure whether an activity could trigger a review. Staying informed and cautious is essential. The key takeaway? Participation in foreign conflicts is no longer just a personal choice. It could cost you your citizenship. In 2026, Australia expects its citizens to act responsibly, both at home and abroad. The final and perhaps most controversial law in the 2026 reforms could see Australians losing their citizenship for failing to uphold core Australian values. Unlike other laws that target specific actions or crimes, this one is broader and more subjective, making it both powerful and potentially frightening. But what does upholding Australian values actually mean? Authorities interpret this as behaving in ways that support democracy, the rule of law, and community harmony. Activities that threaten these principles, whether through violent actions, promoting extremist ideologies, or seriously undermining Australian society, could now be grounds for citizenship revocation. The law is particularly concerning because even indirect actions like online activities or public statements could be scrutinized. The consequences are life-changing. Losing citizenship under this law doesn't just mean losing the right to live in Australia. It can also affect your access to health care, education, social services, and family security. For dual citizens or those with family overseas, the repercussions can extend internationally, affecting travel and residency rights. So, how can you protect yourself? First, stay informed about what constitutes Australian values and avoid any activity that could be interpreted as threatening the nation's principles. Second, document your engagement in the community, including work, volunteering, and contributions that demonstrate loyalty to Australia. Finally, seek legal advice if you have concerns about your activities or associations. The key takeaway is stark. Citizenship is not just a status, it's a responsibility. In 2026, Australia expects its citizens to act supportive of the country's core values, and failure to do so could have consequences that last a lifetime. Protecting your citizenship means being informed, responsible, and proactive.
By 2026, millions of Australians could face an unprecedented challenge, the possibility of losing their citizenship due to a series of strict new laws. From serious criminal convictions and national security concerns to dual citizenship restrictions, long-term absences, and failure to uphold Australian values, the rules now cover almost every aspect of life. Even children born abroad, tax compliance, and seemingly minor mistakes on applications could put you or your family at risk. The truth is, citizenship is no longer just a legal status, it's a responsibility. Ignorance or neglect could lead to life-changing consequences, including loss of the right to live in Australia, access essential services, or even legal deportation. These laws are designed to protect the nation, but they also place the burden of vigilance on every citizen. The key takeaway is clear. Being an Australian citizen comes with obligations, awareness, and proactive action. Now that you understand the risks, the real question is, how can you protect yourself and your family before it's too late? The next section will give you practical, step-by-step solutions to safeguard your citizenship in 2026 and beyond. With the 2026 citizenship laws coming into effect, taking proactive steps is no longer optional, it's essential. Here's a practical guide to protect yourself and your family. 1. Stay informed. Knowledge is your first line of defense. Understand the new laws and how they apply to your specific situation, especially if you are a dual citizen, travel frequently, or have children born abroad. Government websites and legal experts are reliable sources. 2. Maintain records. Document every important detail: travel logs, residency periods, financial records, property ownership, employment history, and proof of ties to Australia. These records are vital if authorities review your citizenship status. 3. Ensure legal compliance. Avoid criminal activity, stay up to date with taxes, and comply with all financial and legal obligations. Even minor oversights can trigger citizenship reviews under the new laws. 4. Protect your children. If your children were born abroad, check their citizenship status now. Submit all applications accurately and on time, and keep documentation proving your ties to Australia. 5. Seek professional advice. A qualified immigration or legal expert can clarify your risks, review your documentation, and guide you on the best steps to safeguard your citizenship. 6. Stay connected to Australia. Maintain strong ties through voting, paying taxes, owning property, and community involvement. For dual citizens or frequent travelers, this demonstrates your commitment and loyalty. By following these steps, you're not just protecting your citizenship, you're ensuring your future and your family's security in Australia.
Don't wait until it's too late. Proactive action today can save you from devastating consequences tomorrow. If this video made you think twice about your citizenship, share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your story. Don't forget to check out our previous video for more critical updates you can't afford to miss. We put tons of effort into bringing you this information, so please support us and hit that subscribe button. It's just one click to stay informed and protected.